Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, we're talking Nevada wine with Teri Bath and Kathy Halbardier, plus on the Power Pundit panel, Alex Goff, Warren Hardy, and Chase Whittemore. It's all coming up next on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Nearly 200,000 Nevadans work in retail businesses, supporting families and the community. Nevada's retail businesses generated over $2 billion in sales tax revenue in 1 year, including nearly $700 million to help our schools. Shop around and see all that Nevada's retailers offer our state.
We're the Retail Association of Nevada, representing thousands of Nevada businesses.
Businesses that work for Nevada.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Truck drivers are some of the hardest working people you'll meet, delivering over 70% of America's freight and 92% of Nevada's. When there's a natural disaster, they're delivering critical supplies to help those communities recover and rebuild. Every sector of the economy and our nation's military rely on truck drivers. So let's take a moment to say thank you. On the open road or city streets, our truck drivers are rolling to make our economy and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're talking Nevada wine today. Yes, I know you're going, we have wine in Nevada. Yes, we do. And joining us, Teri Bath, president of Nevada Vines and Wines. Pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you, Sam. Nice to be here.
And Kathy Halbardier, who is a board member and Nevada's first professional female winemaker. So let's talk about wine in Nevada. How big of an industry is it?
Well, it's a growing industry. It started out
and that's
pretty...
not a pun, right?
No.
Right. Just want to start there.
An emerging industry, how's that? And Kathy was one of the first commercial winemakers in Nevada, but the way I look at it and my focus is, I've lived in Nevada since 1960, which doesn't make me a native, but we've been talking about diversifying from gaming for years. And I'm excited about this industry because it's a great industry and it makes you really happy.
Well, that's a very good point. And Kathy and I have been friends for many, many years. And so how have you seen this industry grow over the last decade?
You know, it's been a slow-growing industry from the commercial side, but from the agricultural side, we've made a difference. What we really came here to do, and it was part of my thesis in grad school, was what can we do to maximize the use of our water? We were in a drought situation when I moved here, and we planted grapes, and we use about quarter to a third of the water that is necessary for alfalfa or hay. And so we felt we were really introducing a good crop. And so we didn't really see commercialization until we brought Lynn Hetrick in, and he actually helped us introduce laws that made it possible for commercial wineries in the state of Nevada.
And that's one of the issues is that you don't have enough grapes, correct?
We don't have enough grapes right now, but we certainly are growing. We have probably somewhere between 50 and 70,000 vines growing in Nevada right now, which is a lot compared to where we were a few years ago. And I look at it from the standpoint of California in 2014 had 330,000 jobs created just in the wine industry. So if we can create more jobs here, and we're one of the leading states right now in job creation around the country, but this is a great industry because Nevada was established as a mining and ag state. So we're growing that.
Right, and it's agriculture is still our third biggest industry.
Yes.
And certainly something that would use less water would be a great thing. So how many wineries, commercial wineries, do we have in Nevada now?
Right now we have 7, possibly 8 coming online soon in the city of Sparks. So I remember telling Governor Sandoval when we got the law passed to license wineries in Clark and Washoe County that I hoped we would see a growth quicker than we did when I licensed my winery. We went from 2 wineries to 4 in 10 years. So I was in 20 years. So I'm hoping, and we did. We're now up to 7, so we're growing commercially. And we're seeing a lot more interest in the grape cultivation and in the interest of making wine. We just recently did our competition, our wine state competition, and for the first time we introduced commercial wineries at the same time we had home winemakers, and we actually have gold medal winners in both home and commercial wine competitions.
That was going to be one of the questions I was going to ask you, is what's the quality of the wines? And obviously pretty darn good.
Absolutely, and we had 5 commercial wineries enter, and we had, I believe it was 27 home winemakers. And I believe just about everybody walked away with some level of medal. So that tells me, as a judge who judged for the Nevada State Fair, back in the 90s, when it was a small group that we could have at my house, we have risen the bar in terms of the quality of the wines and both the commercial and home, and both Southern Nevada and Northern Nevada participating.
Is this kind of going hand in hand with the craft beer thing that's going on across the state?
Well, we are having much more distilleries, much more craft breweries, which is growing across the nation, but Nevada's growing pretty fast because we have so much interest in brewers, distillers, and winemakers. We've had the Backyard Vineyard Tour with Nevada Vines and Wines for the last 7 or 8 years, and it's amazing how many backyard vineyards. I remember on Plum Lane many years ago, all the guys that had their little, Italian guys, had their little vineyards in the backyard. Well, now we've grown into an industry. So we've come a long way in creating jobs and creating tax revenue for the state.
Do you have any idea of how many cases of wine we're producing each year at this point?
From all the wineries?
Yeah.
Do you know, Kathy?
I would say that we're probably on the average.
I don't want to give the wrong answer.
Right. And so we're very young, and so a lot of these guys maybe are producing 1,000 cases. So we don't have a lot of volume, but what we have is a lot of interest in an expansion in the number of wineries, and they all bring in a different creativity and craft in the way they make their wines. So I look at it to grow. What Teri and I have done in the past legislative sessions, and one of the things that we're working on right now, is looking at our surrounding states. There's 40, as she talked about 300,000 jobs in California, there's 4,500 wineries in California. Utah has more wineries than us, Arizona has more wineries than us, Oregon has more wineries than us. So if you look at all the states that surround us, and I did a lot of my research in grad school on Idaho's wineries, all of the states surrounding us have more wineries and more economic impact than we do, and that's really what we're all about.
Okay, so what do we need to do to increase that?
You go.
we just raised the case level in 2015 to 1,000 cases, and most of our wineries at this point aren't reaching that. They are hoping to go over that soon, so probably in the next legislative session, we will go back and want more than one location for a winery. Right now you can only have one, and you cannot sell beer in a winery. You can sell wine in a brewery, but you can't sell beer in a winery. There's a lot of unique laws on the books right now that don't personally make sense to me, but maybe they do to the lawmakers. But we need to change some things to make it more economical for these businesses to survive and cash flow.
Okay, so let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll talk about some of those issues right after this.
Tamarack Junction is South Reno's hotspot with over 450 of the latest slots and video games. Sully Sports Bar, the Dining Car Restaurant, William Hill Sportsbook, and the Tamarack Steakhouse and Lounge. We're just north of the Summit Mall in South Virginia. Yeah.
Because of UMC, there's a wide open road ahead of me.
Because of UMC, she can grow up with her twin sister.
Because of UMC, I'm here to help you. UMC, the highest level of care in Nevada.
Hi, I'm Eric Robnett, owner of Home Energy Experts. Has this ever happened to you?
Honey, did you remember to turn down the thermostat?
Forgetting to set the temperature? Not fun. We can help. Our new smart thermostat keeps the temperature set for your comfort all by itself.
I'm feeling hot now.
To increase your comfort, go to homeenergyexperts.com for details. That's homeenergyexperts.com.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
The Tamarack Junction Steakhouse is known for signature steaks, handcrafted cocktails, and world-class wines. Join us Thursdays and Friday nights from 4:30 to 6:30 in the Steakhouse Lounge for live music, gourmet plates, and well-priced wines, just north of the Summit Mall on South Virginia.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
Back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're talking Nevada wines with Kathy Halbardier and Teri Bath. So let's talk about some of the issues that we're dealing with here in Nevada that you might like to see changed.
Well, I think that it's interesting that we're in a state where 24/7, 365, we have gaming, we have prostitution, we have marijuana laws now, but we have such restricted laws in Nevada on breweries, wineries, and distilleries. And if you have a wedding at a venue and you have wine and beer, Dad can't get a scotch and water if he wants to. And most of the wine in the world that's made, or alcohol, or especially alcohol, is tested in Nevada. But we have some of the most restricted three-tiered laws of any other state that has a three-tiered system.
Okay, so let's explain what the three-tier system is, because it's complex and it's interesting.
Very complex.
It's very complex, and what happens is that you have a manufacturer, the grape grower, the winemaker, then you have the distributor who moves the wine through the state, and then you have the retailer who actually sells to the end consumer. And what happens is the manufacturer can only sell direct out of a tasting room. So if they don't have a tasting room, they can't sell direct. If they have a tasting room, they only can sell direct to the consumers that come in. Then the wine goes to the distributor, and there's a price bump when you sell from the manufacturer to the distributor, because they're going to get it in all those great locations for you. But then there's another price bump when you sell it to the retailer. So I might be selling my wine over here in my tasting room for $12 a bottle. It'll go to the distributor, maybe it's $6 a bottle because it's going in the wholesale market. It might go to the retailer at $12 a bottle, what I'm getting, but it'll go to the end consumer at probably $24 a bottle. We have this network, and I love the network. I need it because that's what gets my wine from my manufacturing site all over the state. But I suffer a price discount because I'm selling at a lower price point to the distributor. And the way it works too is in the state of Nevada, you can't have more than, it's either 3 or 5% interest in any of those others. So as a manufacturer, if I want to say, oh, I'm just going to distribute my own wine, I'll set up my own distribution company. Well, I can't own more than 3 to 5% interest in it. So it's a very controlled but necessary industry, because sitting in Minden, I don't want to be driving wine to Elko. So I need the distributors, but there's some issues in that, wow, this is kind of crazy. I had a tasting room in Genoa, and the restaurant next door to me, 10 yards away, was doing a winemaker dinner, and they were running out of my wine. I couldn't get it to them. I had to sell it to the distributor, who drove a truck down to Genoa, picked it up, put it on the warehouse floor in Sparks, and then brought it back down.
And this is not just a problem for small wineries, but I mean, for example, Eldorado Resorts, which is now one of the largest regional gaming companies in the country, they also own the Ferrari Carano wine, or the connections now. And they're in exactly the same situation, that they cannot manufacture, distribute, and retail at the same time.
Correct.
And this is the wholesale market is a very powerful market.
It's very powerful.
You know, I don't believe you're going to be making any dents in that.
Well, we've made a few dents in the fact that we got up to 1,000 cases, and we have some small distributors coming online to try to help these small little wineries. And I'm not.
I guess I meant that you're not going to get rid of the three-tier system.
No, we're not going to get rid of the three-tiered system, but I think we can work out avenues that we can work through some of these issues. And I mean, it's going to be money for everybody, for the distributor, for the manufacturer, for the retailer, for the wholesaler. It's going to be a win-win for everybody. We just have to figure out how to work together.
And that's where we have to leave it. But I do want to throw in that there is an award ceremony coming up, the Vinny Awards, on April 25th. Nevada Vines and Wines are going to host the first statewide wine competition at the Hidden Valley Country Club in Northern Nevada. And if you want more information, I think that they can contact you at Nevada Vines and Wines and find out everything they need to know. Correct?
Right. Correct.
Right. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Dimitri Prine here for Design Outdoor. Come visit Design Outdoor's store and backyard to see our wide selection of fire pits, barbecues, and pizza ovens, natural stone water features and fountains, and frost-proof pottery. Our store and backyard are located at 11600 South Virginia, just north of DeMonte Ranch Parkway. Visit designoutdoor.com or call us at 851-9499.
Hey guys, are you watching the game at a friend's or the bar again because you can't watch at home with your wife? Or worse, because she kicked you out and kept your couch, your flat screen, and your kids? What's the one thing a man needs when he loses a good woman? A good lawyer. And when he loses a bad woman, he needs a great lawyer. What makes a good woman a bad woman? You tell me. You're the one that can't watch the game in your own home. I'm men's rights attorney Marilyn York, and I represent men in divorce, custody, and family law matters.
Hi, I'm Dave Newman. Remember me? I used to be the house detective, and now I'm a realtor full-time at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates. A lot of people ask me, how's the market? You know what? It's fantastic. If you're even kicking around the idea of buying or selling, give me a call. Let's talk about it. Call me at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates and just ask for the guy who used to be the house detective, Dave Newman.
Everyone is talking about opioids, but they're not the only drugs that can be harmful if taken in large quantities or not as prescribed. You also need to be aware of side effects from anxiety drugs, muscle relaxants, sleep aids, and stimulants. Mixing prescription drugs with other drugs or alcohol can be dangerous. If you take an Ambien with a glass of wine, it may be enough to stop you from breathing. Prescribed drugs can be just as dangerous as illegal drugs. Take medications only as directed.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we have held over this great Power Pundit panel. Chase Whittemore is here with Argentum partners. Warren Hardy is with the Hardy Consulting Group. And Alex Goff is a member of the DNC. Pleasure to have you all back on the program. And it's interesting, as you know, Nevada has changed over the last several years to where a lot of people are saying that Nevada is no longer purple, but it's really become a Democratic state.
That's a lie.
Well, and certainly from a financial perspective, I'm hoping it is, because we need the money. But you know, for broadcasters, it's very important that we stay a purple state. But you don't take that position.
Absolutely not. I mean, I think that I think it's a moment in time, and I think it's the candidates they're able to recruit, and I think the Republican Party will continue to find strong candidates. I mean, during the election cycle, I certainly look at Adam Laxalt, and obviously I didn't agree with a lot of his positions, but I looked at the fact that he was...
Did you agree with any of them?
I didn't agree with a lot of his positions, but I think that you know, the fact that he was a veteran and his service as the Attorney General to the state, having beat Ross Miller in the previous election, I think that he was a strong strong candidate on its face, and I think that they're going to continue to recruit strong candidates, and we're always going to have to up our game as a Democratic Party and make sure that we get our message out all throughout Nevada. That includes rural Nevada and our 2 urban centers, and I think that it's always going to be every cycle we have to stay on top of our game.
And you know, it's been very interesting to watch Catherine Cortez Masto, because where Harry Reid pretty much gave up on rural Nevada for the most part, she is out there and getting top marks from very conservative people in rural Nevada for her efforts out there.
Absolutely, and I was in the Senate when she served in the state, and she's a fairly bipartisan person. She does what's good for the state of Nevada. I'm a fan, frankly. With regard to what Alex said, I think the Republican Party has to take a good look at itself, though, because what happened in this last election is Washoe County is a more moderate brand of conservative. And they sent a very strong message to the Republican Party, and particularly to Donald Trump, especially women Republican voters, that tone matters. And I think the Republican Party has responded well. If you look at the legislature, members of the legislature are probably more moderate than we've had in a long time. But if Washoe County is the key for Republicans to Nevada. We lose Washoe County, we lose. There's just not enough rural votes. And you know, you look at the candidates or the legislators that Washoe County has sent to the legislature, the Randolph Townsends, the Bill Reggios, the Ben Kekeffers, the Heidi Ganserts. They're all moderate. They're all moderate problem solvers. And the Republican Party needs to look inside and understand that that's the kind of candidate we need to recruit going forward. If we do, it's not necessarily a blue state forever, but I would say currently it's a blue state.
All right, so the other part of this is that the Democrats, and Alex is probably going to beam when I say this, are incredibly well organized. And I mean, not just during election cycles, but year round, every year. Yeah. The Republicans, you have, you know, the local, party functionaries that meet on a regular basis, but most of the electeds don't really deal with them. And you've had Mike Slanker and his organization has been kind of a supplement to the Republican Party. Isn't that the biggest challenge for the Republicans, to get organized and on a level to be able to compete with the Democrats?
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, they need to do it early and often, just like the Democrats have done over the last 10, 15 years in Nevada. They've organized very well at that local level, and Republicans need to follow suit. But you look at the makeup now, I think it is a blue state. It's not purple, but can it become purple again in the next election? Absolutely. The pendulum constantly swings back and forth, and what you're seeing now, I think it'll come back again, snap back.
We'll look back on the last few years as in 10 years from now, we'll look back at this period in the Republican Party and call it the wilderness years, because they've got to figure themselves out.
I will say, I hope the Republican Party, the thing that keeps me up at night is that they figure out that Joel Tolles and Heidi Gansert would be really good candidates for statewide office. And if they don't figure that out, then I'll have a good day.
They're the models. They're clearly the models. But you got Keith Pickard, you've got others that are moderate problem solvers. So if the party can figure that out, the future has some hope.
I believe you hit the quote of the day there. Let's talk about what's going on in the hospital industry, because there is quite a war going on between most of the hospitals in Southern Nevada and Elite, which is a hospital that opened up for essentially emergency care on the Las Vegas Strip. What are the issues surrounding this?
Well, I think there's a lot of misinformation that hospital such as Elite that comes into a market, and they don't have to play by the same rules and regulations as the other hospitals. Just because they don't take Medicare doesn't mean that the patient that comes in and is suffering an emergency doesn't receive care or great care. They do. They just simply don't bill. They just don't send the bill to them. So if you come in with Medicare and you have a broken foot, you're going to get a bill for $0. They won't even send you a bill. And so that's ruffling feathers, because this business model is very rampant in Texas, and Elite is the first one to do it in Nevada, and they've only been operating for less than a year, and you're seeing people, other hospitals take notice for sure.
Warren, you've been a student of the hospital industry for a long time. They're not taking this lightly.
No, and it sort of revived a conversation this session about certificate of need and the proper balance of the use of certificate of need, which of course we don't have in the larger counties at this point. But that's something you have to be very careful with too, because that can be anti-competitive and stifle innovation. So it's a tough issue, but there will be a lot of conversations about the use of certificate of need this time, and it needs to be very targeted and very strategic and not widespread. So it's going to be interesting.
Alex, one of the things that's always interesting to watch when you have one party that has a lot of power, and in this situation, obviously the Democrats are in control of both houses, supermajority in one, and the governor's mansion, that there will be overreach. Is there discussion within the party as to, how do you move forward, but in a way that pushes Democratic agenda, but doesn't go over the top?
I mean, I think that both houses did an excellent job of choosing the leadership. So Senator Nicole Canizaro.
Now at least, yes.
Yes, and Assemblyman Jason Firestone. I think that they're very good at making sure that the party stays on track and making sure that the legislative agenda moves forward. And I think that, and Governor Steve Sisolak as well, I think that I trust our leadership to not overreach and make sure they stay within the bounds. Because, every cycle, there's a new referendum on what you did, and I think they're aware of that.
Very brief.
And I would agree with Alex. I mean, I don't think we've seen overreach. I think we've seen a very measured approach by the legislature. Now, we'll see what happens down the home stretch, but so far, very, very measured, very cautious, very concerned about what they're doing, what they're doing impacts the business community. So,
quick last word.
Well, it's been a slow start, but it's definitely sped up, and leadership's definitely looking at the next 60 days. They're going to have to remove a lot of legislation.
All right, and that's where we're going to leave it. Thank you all very much. Great panel. Really appreciate it. We'll be right back.
A bird's eye captures its surroundings at different heights. At Brian Culpa Photography, we can make your imagination soar over buildings, parks, cityscapes, and beyond. Brian's images tell the story and get the job done. If you need a new perspective to tell your story, contact Brian today. Brian Culpa Photography. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Hey, Dad? Are you learning? This place is great. Huh? You gotta try this.
Wow, this stuff is great. People are gonna love it.
Yes. Yes, they will.
St. Ives Florist for every holiday and every special occasion. For romance. Custom home design. We have the largest selection of fresh flowers in northern Nevada. And we also offer a large selection of unique gift items. Come see me, Lori Ann, at St. Ives Florist, 700 South Wells Avenue, or call me at 333-9190.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search Nevada Newsmakers. We'll see you on the next broadcast.